I was active in '78, and when it was over, I couldn't talk about this for months. It was very, very, I think, hurtful. I had a very bad taste about things, and I don't think that anybody needs to have that.
John Shelsnick actively fought against the bill which restricted motors in 1978. Now he's fighting to keep that bill in place, to keep motor restrictions from going further than 1978 levels.
In '78, we were the radicals, we were the savages, and if you look at what's happening now, I consider those people as the extremists.
The people he is talking about are the wilderness groups who want motors out. Mike Clavette belongs to one of those.
I don't know, there's 13,000 lakes in Minnesota that you can take a boat on with a motor, or a float plane, or whatever it is that you want to take. You know, I guess I don't understand why it is that we have to conquer and destroy every acre of wilderness that we have in this country.
Clavette says the environment is not only being destroyed by motors, but also by the trash that's being left behind.
You make it easier for those folks who are just out to have a good time, out to party, to get up there, to carry all their stuff, their trash, you know, their milfoil and their zebra mussels or whatever it is, if they're careless, and leave it there.
But Shelsnick and many others like him feel the continued use of motors on a small percentage of BWCA lakes damages nothing.
My definition of wilderness is much different than their definition of wilderness. I can go out and have solitude. I shut that motor off. I can sit on a nice rocky point and listen to the same loon that they're listening to.
You start getting those motors in, and I think the folks who take those motors in, who want to rush everywhere they're going to go, are missing out on 75% of the experience, the wilderness experience, the boundary waters.
These two men agree on so little, it's easy to see how this fight has raged over 30 years. Dave Jench, Channel 6 News.
As people descended upon Leif Erikson's Park, they came upon the old world culture of the Vikings. The Viking Fest is celebrating its 10th year, and the focus of this event is not only to have fun, but to help restore a part of history.
About 10 or 11 years ago, the ship was discovered to be in total disrepair due to weatherization, vandalism, that type of thing. And a group of volunteers formed a nonprofit headed by Neil Atkins and Willie Borg, and they decided that they were going to go to the city council and ask for money to restore the ship, and the city said no, they just didn't have the money to do that.
Already it has taken close to $80,000 for this effort. The ship is a 1926 replica of the ship Vikings used in the 1800s. About 80% of the ship has been restored. Claude Bergstrand helped by making the shields, the head, and the tail of the ship.
It came over in 1927. It was built in 1926. It was sailed by a crew of 4. And then later it was brought to Chicago for the World's Fair and sailed back and forth.
Other Viking Festival attractions included music, arts and crafts, and of course, lots of food. People could also learn about Viking way of life through this recreation of an encampment.
The man who owned the ship was probably who owned the bed and the tent. So whenever they left and came to a place where they wanted to stop for a few days or a few weeks, they'd bring the tent out and the bed out.
In Duluth, Tamika Snowden, Channel 6 News.
We are going to allow people to travel through the intersection, but it is going to be a busy construction zone. There will be delays. It's going to be messy for a while.
It had been a quiet night here at the gas station until John was surprised by a man who crept up behind him, grabbed him around the neck, and began to stab him repeatedly.
Good job. Colonel Piggy. Good for now. Is that right? Yes. Yes. Yes.
Consensus decision-making, interest-based negotiating. And we're going to orient the interest in the process. I can't give you any sense of how long the process is going to take. In our experience, these things have taken from a couple of months to, to almost a year. But again, that decision is in the hands of the negotiating committee.
I went in the way I'm supposed to, I think, and did what I had to do, and instincts and training just took over.
On Friday night, St. Louis County Sheriff's Deputy Dave Akerson was called to investigate a suspicious man with a rifle walking around a nearby resort. But by the time Akerson arrived, the man had already left. The next morning, the suspect's car was located here at this cabin. Deputy Dave Akerson knocked at the door repeatedly. When Clifford Larson Jr. finally answered the door, Akerson discovered his worst nightmare was about to come true.
Upon opening it, he had a rifle pointed at my chest area. He said, to the best of my recollection, was, "Get the hell out of here." And during the course of this, my first words and only words to him were, "Don't shoot."
This is when Akerson's instinct and training took over. He knew he had to take cover because Clifford Larson Jr. was going to shoot him.
Was trying to get off the porch and around the corner of the cabin to take cover behind the corner. Somewhere on the bottom of the porch or just into the grass area, or I don't recall just how far I made it, that I heard one shot and struck me in the head.
Deputy Akerson describes where the bullet entered him.
It grazed my back, top of the shoulder, right shoulder, and entered in the lower part, just under my ear and the neck area, and went up.
The bullet is still lodged near his jaw joint, where it will probably remain. Akerson says this will not change how he does his job, but it will change the way he looks at his life. Near Ely, Molly Boyum, Channel 6 News.
Chia, it's always nice to go. Nice silver shots over there. Yeah, going from here.
Well, I'm just wondering about when it has to come off.
Oh, I don't.
You all night long tonight has been on.
Twice he vetoed meaningful welfare reform bills, and only when the pollster spoke did he respond to the American people and to our poor children. President Dole, he won't walk away from our children.
Crime and welfare. One of of the nation's
poor to buy into our comprehensive health care system, ensuring that each and every child in America and Wisconsin has adequate quality medical coverage. But you know what Bill Clinton said? He said no, and he walked away from Wisconsin's children.
Yeah.
And young adulthood time period. The reason that's important is because they congregate. Young adults congregate in close quarters and spread those diseases. And the other thing that happens is they are more susceptible to death and to complications from those diseases. So it is an important issue.
Together, and up north is where the skepticism is. They've had the '64 Wilderness Act that said boundary waters will stay as it is with motor use and logging. And they had the '78 Act that said, you know, the three portages are going to stay open. They've had mediation. It hasn't worked in the past.
Well, with a lot of skepticism up there continuing, but yet they've all been invited, from what I understand from the mediators, they've been invited to participate, yet many are holding out.
The newest thing lately has been the Air Much Up Tempo. It's this shoe with the big air on the side. The other big one that's been selling is the Zoom Flight.
Nike, Fila, Reebok, Adidas, Levi, and Arizona are considered some of the hot commodities for back to school. Just ask any parent who's been begged to buy them.
It's in, you know, it's the today thing. All the kids are wearing them. They gotta be like them.
Some students say they're more into the simple life.
Jeans and shirts like this, jeans and t-shirts, like Calvin Klein's and Cavaricci's and Levi's. That's pretty much what I wear.
This back-to-school shopping mom says she and her teenager have had a hard time agreeing on what to get, but he's into pretty much the same brand.
Nike and Levi are basically his brand.
Many teens we talk to say that they want silver tab jeans. We ask them, what's the big deal about a pair of jeans?
I don't know, it's just new brand of jeans, and I think everybody likes them.
But it takes lots of money to get kids prepared for back to school. This mom says she shops for 3 and spends hundreds for each one.
Well, they say the average is $365, I heard, and I would say probably about $300 a piece.
Well, as you can see, the kids know what they want, so parents, get ready to spend. In Duluth, Tamika Snowden, Channel 6 News. Northland kids and their parents have been cramming for back to school in recent weeks, cramming shopping bags, that is. But when we asked parents what their kids have been doing this summer academically to prepare for back to school, they didn't have much to say.
Well, we read a little bit. We try to get the kids to read, but other than that, they haven't been doing too much.
But that's okay. According to experts, it's perfectly fine for your kids to coast a bit during summer vacation. After all, that's what vacation is all about. But don't let your children backslide.
I think part of it is summer is supposed to be fun, and it's not, you shouldn't enforce the same routine that a school system, like the school year has, so that there is a break for students, but there is a lot that can be done just to maintain the knowledge they picked up the year before.
Gildersleeve says for students to have an academic edge, they have to exercise their minds year-round, but it doesn't take hours studying away the summer. He says it takes only minutes a day to prepare kids for school. So here are some tips from the Sylvan Learning Center on giving your student the academic edge. First, practice math at least 15 minutes a day, adding, subtraction, or whatever is appropriate for the age of the student. Second, practice reading, something that the student will enjoy. Third, parents should set academic expectations and let their student know what they expect from them during the school year. And fourth, set a routine, including bed and wake-up times, and stick to them, even on the weekends. Using these tips consistently will help your child make the grade.
And if you're comfortable with the things you already have learned last year and you feel like you maybe have a head start on that, the new things come a lot easier.
For an extra edge, there are computer software programs in math and reading. The internet also has educational facts with graphics, pictures, and video clips, which may bring learning to life. In Duluth, Tamika Snowden, Channel 6 News.
We have to understand that some students won't have that support. We have to, as it is humanly possible, try to provide that support, lest we give up on another generation.
The winter of '95 was tough. It took its toll on Lake Hendricks in Howard County in Iowa. Many of the popular game fish were killed.
Over the winter we had a real thick dark ice, and we had a pretty good snow cover on the lake, and that eliminated the sun penetration through the lake. In turn, killed off the vegetation. And so when the vegetation dies through decomposition, it uses up a lot of oxygen.
Oxygen is what fish need to survive. The Howard County Conservation Board has decided to restock the fish that have died.
We need to restock it to get back a stable ecosystem back in the lake. And in order to do that, it's best to eradicate all the fish, the unwanted fish in the lake.
That's where the fishermen come in. Starting Wednesday, till all the fish are gone, the state will let anglers net, scoop, and fish out all fish with no limits. The draining should take about a week. At that time, rangers will clean up the lake bed and construct a new beach and a couple of fishing docks. They hope to restock this season, and the keepers should be big enough in about 3 seasons.
While academic experts across the country are touting technology as the key to future academic excellence, Duluth Superintendent Mark Miles says computers are not the answer.
A computer will not teach a child to read, and they can't use a computer without reading, and they can't use the information they get off the computer without being able to sort it.
Miles agrees that computers play an important role in education, but he says they are not the silver bullet, and technology must not overshadow the more important skills of reading, math, and analyzing and processing information. But Superior Superintendent Ben Cannonen feels his district owes it to its students to put a major emphasis on becoming computer literate.
being familiar with computers, understanding how they work, being able to manipulate them, is really a baseline skill for students today and tomorrow.
Superintendent Miles says if teachers in kindergarten through 12th grade enhance the basic skills of reading, writing, and arithmetic, Duluth kids will be in a much better position to compete for access to quality higher education.
We need to focus on the primary instruction and skills that students need. We have to eliminate fluff courses, and so we are auditing our curriculum K-12.
Now, Miles says that doesn't mean computers should be ignored. He points to the fact that Duluth is involved in putting together a district-wide technology plan to be put into effect January 1997. But he says teachers must recognize that while technology can enhance a student's education, it is not the answer to the problem. In Duluth, Barbara Riles, Channel 6 News.
With me, please. We know that we're a bedroom community. We like that. We intend to stay that way. We have no hopes of trying to be an industrial park or anything along that line. We're just very concerned that we keep what we've got. Gain some production taxes as a result of that. The university is somewhere in the neighborhood of 90 billion. I heard that. Out of your pocket, my pocket, and everybody in the state of Minnesota to us. At this time, all of gain some production taxes as a result of that. And so there's direct that we would be like the British, we'd muddle through some.
I hope that people say, wow, they've watched her work down there, and they must believe that she's doing a really good job, and that's why they're endorsing her. So.
Now. Listen, can I get anybody something to drink? Because I'm going to have to go up and do dialysis now.
Joanne Sutherland is a busy mom with a household to run. In between taking care of the kids, she also gets about 3 hours of dialysis a day.
There's a lot of things that I can do. I don't let this hold me back.
As you can see, she doesn't let it hold her back. And since she faces dialysis every day for the rest of her life, she says it never will. While patients like Joanne deal with the emotional and human side of dialysis, there's new concern about one of the chemical combinations commonly used to sterilize dialysis equipment. To give you a better understanding of what's involved, you should know how it all works. When kidneys fail, hemodialysis is the process used to purify the blood. Cartridges called dialyzers are one of the tools that help the artificial kidney remove toxins from the bloodstream. Some dialyzers are used once and discarded. In 75% of dialysis centers, both hospital-based and freestanding, the dialyzers are sterilized and reused for the same patients only. A combination of peracetic and acetic acid or formaldehyde are usually used as sterilizers.
Among patients treated in freestanding facilities, we found that the rate of death was 10% higher among patients treated with reused dialyzers reprocessed with peracetic and acetic acid when compared to patients not exposed to reused dialyzers.
The new report says that 10% increase translates into an average loss of 3 months of life. There was no increase in the death rate when formaldehyde was used. Researchers can't explain why the paracetic-acetic acid combination increased death rates. They claim it could be something in the material, or it might be due to errors in the sterilizing process. Until more research, experts urge dialysis centers to make sure they meet current guidelines. For NBC News, I'm Diana Penna.
If you look closely, you'll notice this meter reads 0. That's because up until now, the Hermansons haven't had electric power. About a year ago, residents of Big Bear, Little Bear, and Horsehead Lakes said they now want electric power.
For years, the people out here, there's been one or two of them that have come in and requested power, and it just hasn't been feasible to extend the power lines out here.
Before the meter was installed, Leonard and Donna Hermanson used to fire up an old generator once a week to have power to light their house. But using gas as their power source brought along danger with carbon monoxide.
So we checked all around, and we took that carbon monoxide and it took it on the refrigerator up here, and that didn't blow it. And then I took it down to the basement and I blew it right away.
This could be one of the last places in the state, possibly the country, to receive electric services. Donna Hermanson is excited to be able to flick a switch for light or to catch up on some old television shows.
Well, I don't know too many other shows because we haven't been without TV for so long. Outside of the news, of course.
The Hermansons say they no longer will have to live like their lawn sign because from this point on, they're out with the old and in with the new. On Little Bear Lake, Molly Boyam, NBC News.
Witnesses who saw the accident say when Antonich rear-ended the car, they got out and then assaulted him. Investigators believe Antonich was alive when the men took him away in his own car. Later, he was shot several times and thrown in the trunk of the car. It was left off this road on the Fond du Lac Reservation. Police quickly started looking for what they say are 5 suspects who may have been involved with Antonich's death. 4 counties have now gotten involved in the search, but they say residents have played a big role in this investigation.
Some of this has just been wonderful help from some people in the community who gave us some information that we followed up on. And then basically, because of the large number of detectives working on this, a lot of things have fallen into place.
What has fallen into place are the arrests of 4 out of the 5 suspects. A 5th man, 20-year-old Jamie Lee Abed, is still at large.
We would like to locate him, get him off the street. He is a public safety risk at this time. We should consider him armed and dangerous.
Little League had its pitching machine stolen just after the 1st of August from Kang Field on Boundary Avenue. The machine was stored in a shed, and it took at least 2 people to break into the building and load the machine onto a truck. It's unusual for anyone to own or try to sell a pitching machine, and it was probably stolen as a prank. But it's been missing for over a month now, and the machine still hasn't been located. If it isn't found soon, it will cost Proctor Little League about $1,000 to replace it. Do you know where the pitching machine is? Do you know who stole it? Crime Stoppers will pay for information on this crime or any crime and keep the caller's name anonymous. Our numbers are 1-800-974-TIPS or 723-ENOUGH. That's 723-3683.
58-year-old Ronald Parquette was shot while responding to a routine call of property damage consisting of graffiti on an apartment door. Bayfield County Sheriff Ralph Neff says Deputy Parquette entered a stairway that led to 2 upstairs apartments. Authorities say 36-year-old Ron Fisher opened fire and shot him with an automatic rifle numerous times. Deputy Parquette died at the scene. After a 4.5-hour standoff, police stormed the suspect's apartment and found that he'd killed himself. People in Cable, Wisconsin say it's been a shock to this community.
Can't believe it, because we're just a nice little peaceful, happy group of people. Oh, no, it is terrible.
Cable is the easiest going, friendliest, cleanest little town in this part of the country. I've lived here 28 years. Nobody even locks their doors here.
Deputy Parquette was a 28-year law enforcement veteran. He was an officer for Bayfield County for 17 years. In Cable, Wisconsin, Kim Steininger, Channel 6 News.
On February 9th, Lee Pritchard from Hibbing, Minnesota was seriously injured in a car accident on Highway 37. As Lisa remained hospitalized, friends organized a fundraiser to help her and her family with the medical costs. The friends collected the money for the fund at their business. On Thursday evening, June 6th, someone pried open the door of the business to get inside. They searched through the cabinets, drawers, and the desk until they found the fund money, over $4,000. Hibbing police would very much like to find out who stole the money. Call Crime Stoppers if you know who the thief is or have any suspicions. We'll pay a reward up to $1,000 if you can help us arrest him or recover the money. We'll also keep your name anonymous. Our telephone numbers are 1-800-974-TIPS or 723-ENOUGH. That's 723-3683.
Thursday night, the Douglas County Board unanimously passed the resolution. The proposal would now be submitted to the state for consideration. Land in Solon Springs and the town of Parkland are 2 possible sites for the prison. This land in Parkland is just a few miles south of Superior, and that has some residents concerned.
I know it's going to happen, and we'll have to just watch out for them, that's all. If they break loose, they're right in our neighborhood.
But the Supermax prison would bring over 300 jobs to the community. Some residents of Parkland say the benefits outweigh the risks.
You can't afford to live here anymore. We need jobs. We need steady jobs. We need good jobs. These will not be, they will not be McDonald's jobs. These will be jobs where a family can actually make a living and actually save some money and do something for the community.
County Board member Doug Finn says they should hear back from the state within a couple months. In the town of Parkland, Kim Steininger, Channel 6 News.
And what the foundation is going to be is a scholarship set up in the Duluth Superior area here for any student graduating from the local high schools who are going to go into physical education.
Expansion of the Richard I. Bong Memorial Airport has been in the works for some time. 9 years ago, airport manager Bill Amorti forwarded the latest proposal with the support of many businesses in the community. Now that state and federal funds have been designated to proceed with the project, some concerned citizens say the expansion could put lives in danger.
Superior Airport is surrounded by nursing homes, hospitals, refinery, schools, and residential areas that airplanes will be taking off and landing over. I think that sometime in the future there's going to be an awful tragedy happen when an airplane crashes.
Yet another concern associated with runway expansion is the wetland neighboring the airstrip. The expansion would require some construction on the state-protected land. Arrangements have been made to move rare plants on the land to a similar location, and the questions don't stop there.
Well, that area could be used or utilized for homes, could be used for an industrial park. Whatever the city of Superior would determine would be best.
Those in favor of expansion say the project is a win-win situation, and safety is part of the reason for expansion.
The principal reason for building it is safety. The safety of the people of the community as well as the air traffic out there.
Jim Susan says the $3 to $4 million improvement will help Superior corporations, and the addition is long overdue.
The industry traveled by air. Fleming Foods, Target executives, Walmart people, all those people fly in and out.
The expansion plans have spent several years jumping through the necessary hoops to get approval from several government agencies. With construction planned in May of 1997, the biggest challenge facing the airport expansion is community approval. In Superior, I'm Jason Rice for Channel 6 News.
Health Services has tripled its number of employees from a year ago. The company employs about 300 people from the Evelyn and Hoyt Lakes facilities. They manufacture air purification systems for homes. But along with growing businesses come complaints from neighbors.
It's usually after they get off at midnight. It's yelling, screaming back and forth between each other. There's people honking horns, revving their engines.
Besides the noise complaints, there are also problems with parking. This company is located in the middle of a residential neighborhood. Residents here say they can't park near their homes because of the employees.
My wife she's got Lyme's disease right now, and she's very unstable walking. Well, we've had to park at the other block down at my kid's house on the corner in his parking lot.
Daryl Matala of Environmental Health Services declined an on-camera interview, but says he agrees 100% with the residents. He says many employees are choosing to park out on the street rather than a nearby parking lot. A representative of the company has met with neighbors to hear their concerns and work out a possible solution. In Evelyn, Molly Boyum, Channel 6 News.
There's one pickup down there. It's front end loaded. Gotta get this all. Three. Hey, thank you all very much for coming. Jim, its bridge superintendent was built with the county. Mick Dahlberg over here is
It all begins with shorter daylight, frosty nights, and nice warm days. And this year, all of the right ingredients have come together for a more vibrant display than the Northland has seen in years. Our fall colors will not only bring excitement, but will be a boon to tourism in the Northland.
Motor coach tours booked. We have a number of people who plan their conventions, as well as trips to the area just to take in the colors because it's such a beautiful time of year.
The wild, abnormal weather we had this year is actually going to make the landscape the brightest it's been in years and possibly decades in northwest Wisconsin. In June and July, we received 5 more inches of rain than normal and had the 8th wettest July of all time. Our early summer brought flooding rains, but what it did do is give our forests a strong growing season, enough so that it really thickened up the brush. And as a result, we're going to have a plentiful crop this year of radiant leaves.
So we've taken in a couple of days to do this. Not pushing ourselves because this is vacation time, even if it is fall.
The beauty is being buttressed by our late summer weather pattern. We had a drier than normal first half of August and September. Our 1.5-inch deficit meant a surplus of beautiful leaves and a lot of excited tourists.
We like it. We've enjoyed it so much on the way up. Very, very nice.
If you haven't had the chance to see the fall colors, there's still plenty of time. The colors should be with us until mid-October. I'm meteorologist Mickey Prangley, Channel 6 News.
Point fingers where the delays occurred, but I'll take the responsibility for the fact that this took so long.
Doctor, she's here so we can... Last night and the results that they presented.
I think a lot of people were upset about the results. We didn't think that they were accurate, that they had the correct information, and they didn't interview the right amount of people. They left out a lot of sick people.
He is digging a...
Say again, quadrant. Quadrant 4, 9, or 6. Bubble level 6. Quadrant 4, 9, or 6.
They're right next to each other, aren't they?
We have to go inside. Inside one. It's over about a ½ inch.
It's the same one. It's the same one, isn't it?
But as we work with the family, the trust level increases and they find out that it's an okay thing, that the children will not be taken from them, and that the parent themselves are in charge. It's voluntary.
We're really trying to reach seniors. We found out that out of 180,000 diagnoses of breast cancer last year, 120,000 of those were in women over 50. So it's our target population. They're the ones most often getting breast cancer, so we're trying to reach them through recruitment for the free mammogram program.
the coaches is that we'd like to try. Students have done very well in their academic and tried to concentrate it towards the bowling aspects along with us, like his dad, John.
And so I think that this scholarship in her memory is a tremendous way for her to remember her and the things that she did for this program. And I think that she'd be very proud to have that in her memory. The recipients we had today were two very close friends of hers, so it was very special to have them get the first scholarship because of the tragic accident that took her life 3 years ago.
With bells and whistles sounding, model trains from all over drifted into their stations. The annual Model Railroad Show displays trains and trolleys that have close ties with the Northland.
The green cars are the Mesaba Railway models, and those are models of an interurban line running from Gilbert across the Iron Range to Hibbing. The headquarters were in Virginia here.
Trains like this yellow model ran in Duluth in the early 1900s. The model show also attracted young conductor hopefuls.
Well, just being able to see some of these trains, it's kind of interesting how they get all this stuff to work.
This is locomotive 356, also known as the Silver Bullet. It was retired last year. It has been in Brian Grittner's family for over 40 years. To him, these trains aren't just a hobby, but part of a family tradition.
We got the next generation right over here coming along, and you know, they've been model railroading with me and since they were pretty small, so we've had a lot of fun with it.
Most of the model train showers agreed while it is an expensive hobby, it is one they wouldn't give up. In Virginia, Molly Boyum, Channel 6 News.
They're all shy.
That's a pretty... Hi, Andrea.
Dorothea.
You're Dorothea? In the winter time when we have to go out in the cold, but they keep my feet from getting too hot when we're in a hot fire too. They're insulated. And then I have special pants here. Wonder that I have with the thing about having chill treatment in order to keep the civil commitment.
We weren't informed, and we'd like to know what's happening up there and why they had changed policy without acting and communicating with the community regarding changes which had patients be allowed outside the grounds on privileges under supervised staff members.
Okay. What's the general consensus then among Moose Lake citizens?
Heads down, everybody.
It's children like these that everyone is trying to protect. Beginning the first of the year, Minnesota Police will begin to notify you if certain sex offenders are moving into your neighborhood.
We hope the community grabs a hold of this the way we have. We hope that they're interested, and we hope that they can understand that nothing is changing except that now they know.
But this doesn't mean you will be notified of all sex offenders living near you. Inmates will be assessed and given a risk level, which is based on their tendency to offend again. The risk level determines who will be notified. Police say they want the community to help keep an eye on them.
If we see this guy getting off the bus, he works downtown, if he gets off the bus in the West End and starts walking up around the churches and the daycares and stuff, hello, there's something wrong here.
Daycare providers often bring children to parks. They say they always remind children to not talk to strangers. But now knowing who to watch for will make it easier to protect the children.
Well, our natural thing to do is just to continue walking through the community, be polite, say hi, but just keep moving. And if somebody insists on talking to the children, the staff, go to that person and just say, I'm sorry, these children are not allowed to talk to strangers.
Police say it will mean extra work for them, but daycare providers say it's worth it for the children. In Duluth, Molly Boyan, Channel 6 News.
Oh, there's one back here. Sit down. Put your head on.
Take a look at that phone book you were going to throw away. Making blank paper. That means in a year.
Most kids are very aware of recycling. In fact, one reason why we like to encourage kids is it's often the kids that are most aware. They're the ones saying, Mom, you can't throw that away.
It was a terrifying experience, but I had my family here and I had about 26 hands to hold, but I got to admit, I did get through it. I did get through it. For an old man, that was pretty good, right?
Police rescuing a dog out of a house over here.
Home cooking all day. That's another part of it. It's so good.
Senator Paul Wellstone and challengers Rudy Boschwitz and Dean Barkley butted heads but covered little new ground last night. The first dispute came over negative ads, the hallmark of this campaign.
And I think Minnesota and Minnesotans have seen through these ads, and they've rejected them.
We have tried to run ads that have both a sense of purpose and a sense of humor, and not a sense of anger.
I sincerely hope that in this race, that the voters reject negative ads and those who run them don't get elected, so maybe people like Finkelstein won't come to the state anymore and get paid to run them.
Wellstone was sharp and relaxed, joking frequently, while Boschwitz and Barkley stayed focused. Wellstone was openly pleased that Vice President Al Gore is in Duluth to help campaign.
But I feel real good, and I'm proud to have this guy with me.
You bet.
He's a little too tall, but otherwise I like him.
Boschwitz made frequent references to his own friendship with Al Gore and suggested voters consider voting for Democrat Bill Clinton and Republican Rudy Boschwitz.
I was endorsed by the St. Paul Pioneer Press, and I'm proud of it. Last week, they endorsed Bill Clinton. You can draw whatever conclusions you like.
The debate comes at a critical time for both candidates. Wellstone has a lead in recent polls and needs high voter turnout here. Boschwitz needs to improve his standing in the Northland if he hopes to win. In Duluth, Dave Jench, Channel 6 News.
The obvious focus of today's rally was the Northland. Even the music that heralded the entrance of Al Gore was from a Wisconsin band, the Bodines. Vice President Al Gore was introduced by the man he came to Minnesota to support, Senator Paul Wellstone.
I owe everything to the people in northern Minnesota for your support and for your help and for your commitment.
Vice President Al Gore continued the Northland theme.
Thank you, Minnesota! Thank you, Duluth! Anybody here from the Iron Range?
Gore reminded his audience of his last trip to the Northland during the winter and took the opportunity to lighten up the audience by poking fun at himself and his image.
It was so cold. People thought I was frozen stiff. I'm used to that, though.
Once the vice president had the audience in a good mood, he outlined why the Northland should vote for him. He said the Clinton-Gore plan for the next 4 years includes a focus on education with a $1,500 a year tax credit, free tuition for community college, and no taxes on college tuition. He promised that educational emphasis would guarantee that every 8-year-old in America would be able to read and every classroom would be connected to the internet. The audience was appreciative, but young. More than half appeared to be school kids younger than voting age. Minnesota Attorney General Skip Humphrey stressed to those young people the importance of voting and encouraged them to go home and tell their parents and older friends to take advantage of that power.
I'll tell you, the first place that you can start as voters and as young people, you can encourage those who are voters in your home and with your friends.
The Democratic rally lasted about half an hour before the Vice President and Senator Paul Wellstone had to leave for a similar rally in the Twin Cities. At the deck in Duluth, Barbara Riles, Channel 6 News.
Socialism is peopleism. What's wrong with peopleism? And I think that we need socialism where it belongs and capitalism where it works.
Hi. This is the commercial that's airing on local TV stations that has Representative Mike Jaros up in arms. He says it's false and misleading. Now Jaros is asking the county attorney to press charges against his Republican opponent, Chris Dahlberg. But Dahlberg defends his use of the commercial.
And I think he's extremely upset because it's a very close race. And this is really a defining issue between the two of us as far as our philosophies. And I think he's scared.
But Jaros says that's simply not the case.
I believe in free enterprise and am a strong supporter in competition and free enterprise, but he's trying to label me to be something else.
This is not the first time Jaros has complained about Dahlberg's campaigning ways. 2 years ago, a St. Louis County attorney's investigation found false information about Jaros in Dahlberg's radio ads and campaign literature. The charges were never filed.
As far as the filing 2 years ago, he went to a DFL county attorney. He asked for opinion. We made in the whole campaign one mistake. I apologized immediately during the campaign.
The Jaros-Dahlberg race isn't the only one that could lead to legal trouble. House Republican leader Steve Swigum plans to sue over a House DFL caucus TV commercial. Swigum contends the ad violates Minnesota's Fair Campaign Practices Act. In Duluth, Molly Boyum, Channel 6 News.
The governor's spouses took it on as an issue, and we had, over 40 of the governors. I just want to thank you. Well, yeah, very careful and get your mammograms. Menopause, mental health. Yes,
Get a mammogram and start off with a baseline when they're younger, but to get a mammogram every year after the age of 50, because we have in Minnesota 50% of the women over 50 are not getting mammograms. And the sooner, if you get in and you can get diagnosed, if there's any problems, you can get it treated early, and your chance of survival is 93% over 5 years.
Find a woman within your precinct who isn't planning to vote. Either a woman who's registered already and feeling disconnected, or a woman who isn't registered, and bring her to your precinct. Help her register at the poll that day. Help her cast that vote.
I just stopped. I wanted to come to congratulate you.
For more than 20 years, people have been coming to the Willard Munger Inn coffee shop to talk politics with Willard Munger. He's been in office since 1954, longer than many voters have been alive. And at 85 years of age, he is not stopping, despite criticism from his opponents.
They were using that against Dole. They're using that against Boswich. And of course, I'm the third runner-up. And of course, I'm older than any of them.
And despite his 42 years in office, he still was nervous on election night.
And you watch that television, when they start rolling down the numbers, you're waiting for your turn to come up.
Elections haven't always been in Munger's favor. His first, back in 1934 at the age of 22, was a loss, as well as his first attempt at the State House and his only attempt at the Minnesota Senate. He was successful in 1954, however, and the rest is, well, history. Over the years, Munger has had countless discussions in his coffee shop, some with such political legends as Walter Mondale, Eugene McCarthy, and A.M. Sandy Keith, seen here with Munger. And over the years, the ties may have changed, but the legislative seat has not. Name recognition is crucial in an election, and to have your name associated with Willard Munger's can help the campaign. Take this ad, for instance. Mike Jarrows, Tom Huntley, and Willard Munger were all re-elected as your Duluth DFL team. And the election night victory at the DFL camp confirmed a predicted landslide. Still, Munger says this is his last term, leaving the door open for new blood, possibly from a different party.
I think I've established a good record that I can be proud of, and I can pass on that record down to my grandchildren. They can be proud of it also.
But Munger says following his retirement in 2 years, he'll still be involved with the issues. After all, politics is in his blood. In Duluth, Maureen Tallarico, Channel 6 News.
If you got a buck around chasing some does and they're rutting, you can give them a couple honks on that.
Jamie Whitty and Bill Huberty of Duluth are like hundreds of thousands of deer hunters across the state getting set for opening day this Saturday. They are shopping and searching for last-minute supplies like just the right scent and ammunition, anticipating they will bag a buck.
We hunt up by Meadowlands, and we've been up there for the last 2 or 3 weekends, and we've been seeing quite a bit of deer sign, a lot of tracks, a lot of droppings. Quite a few tree scrapes, you know, and they scrape their horns on the trees. We've been seeing a lot of that, so we're pretty optimistic that we'll still be able to do okay.
They'll do okay if they work a little harder than other years, says the DNR. That's because deer numbers in northeastern Minnesota are down about 25 to 50% over last year. The snow, cold temperatures, and duration of the winter took its toll, with many deer not making it through. But the deer that are out there look pretty good.
They had an excellent summer. Once summer got started, we had good growing conditions, and we had a fantastic crop of acorns, hazelnuts, and the like. So the deer that survived the winter should be in excellent shape and should be going into this winter in very good condition. So the deer herd that's here is in excellent shape.
This year's deer season is a little different than last. It's a week later and a lot warmer too. Also, for the first time ever, you can quarter a deer in the field before you bring it in. Trespass laws have been strengthened and new restrictions are in place. For the first time since the late 70s, no antlerless permits are being issued.
The reason we reduced or basically eliminated antlerless permits was to allow the herd to build back up, but at the same time we still want to harvest some bucks and give them some opportunity to hunt.
Deer hunters are excited to continue their long-standing family tradition.
I'm hoping the same as we've done in the years past. Get the big ones.
The big ones?
Get the big ones, yeah.
Over 500 budding young Einsteins turned out last night for a demonstration in chemistry using items found in everyday kitchens. The demonstration was the first in a series of shows designed to teach young people how fun science can be.
This is a program sponsored by the College of St. Scholastica. It's run by the PLUS Center. PLUS is an acronym that means promoting learning among the underrepresented in science. And we're known for programs that have to do with girls in science and really anybody in science.
There will be 5 more performances in the Knights in Science Armor series, as it's called. Each will feature hands-on activities like the unique ice cream made by St. Scholastica chemistry students.
We're making ice cream out of the regular ingredients, but we're using liquid nitrogen to cool it, to supercool it, and it takes about 15 minutes. So on their way out, everyone gets a little taste of ice cream made by liquid nitrogen.
Though the event was geared towards elementary school children, there were a few things adults could learn too. For example, did you know that your iron-fortified cereal will react to a magnet? With all that iron, no wonder cereal sinks to the bottom of the bowl. From the Channel 6 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Dave Anderson for Channel 6 News.
There's a freezing it here, huh?
Regardless of what the calendar says, in the greater Cleveland area, it's winter. Since Saturday, more than 2 feet of snow has accumulated, and it's still coming down. The mayor declared the city a snow emergency, and cleanup crews have been working around the clock since Saturday, trying to clear the city streets and highways. Still, many areas are blanketed with snow and ice. Downed power lines crisscross suburban streets and sidewalks, and thousands of homes are still without heat or power.
It has been relatively uncomfortable for the last 36 hours, but without having heat or electricity.
And many sought refuge at one of the temporary shelters the Red Cross set up.
Salvation Army at 6,000 Hunt Avenue.
Trying to escape the storm has proven to be almost impossible.
I was on the runway for 3 hours until they turned back and we couldn't take off.
After the airport shut down, the terminal was made into a makeshift hotel, and frustrated travelers spent the night on army cots.
I am pregnant, high-risk pregnancy. I've been having contractions, and I can't go to sleep.
Jennifer Murphy reporting for NBC News in Cleveland.
It was standing room only in Ely's Community Center as residents turned out to voice their opinions over the battle of motors versus paddles in the Boundary Waters. An old logging road known as the Cloquet Line plays a key role in a new compromise offer from Brian O'Neill, a representative of 33 environmental groups. Part of the latest proposal in the mediation process involves paving over the Cloquet Line and opening up a new motorized access to Basswood Lake in exchange for giving up motors on the Moose Lake chain. That's an option, though, that most folks in Ely did not find appealing.
This is a sinister plot by Brian O'Neill to divide and conquer the people that live here. We lost the resorts. We lost the snowmobiling. We lost 21 motor routes in the Boundary Waters. We lost the portages. We have lost every inch along the way.
Motor supporters weren't the only people skeptical of O'Neill's plan. Even business owners who depend on canoeists for their living aren't happy with a total motor ban on Moose Lake. Without towboats, the number of paddlers they could transport to the wilderness would drop.
We don't like that proposal, Brian O'Neill. I think a lot of people are concerned about the true intent of it, whether it be fair or what his ulterior motive is.
Many residents of the Boundary Waters fringes fear that the destruction of multiple use in the wilderness is the ulterior motive of the environmental groups O'Neill represents. Brian O'Neill's proposals and the opinions expressed by Ely residents last night will be discussed at the federal mediator's next meeting, December 3rd. Near the Boundary Waters in the Ely-Winton area, I'm Dave Anderson for Channel 6 News.
This house should have a family in it, feasting on turkey for Thanksgiving. But because of Wednesday's fire, the family's spending Thanksgiving in the hospital. Friends at Marketplace Meats, the neighborhood grocery store, are taking up donations for the family.
We've taken up a collection for donations with our, for money and for household goods, towels, anything that they might need. Apparently they lost everything in the fire.
Cloquet firefighters were able to contain this fire within a few minutes. They say this family is lucky. That's why the fire department gives us these tips during this holiday season.
Well, most fires are either cooking or heating related, so be careful with your heating systems. Make sure if you have a wood stove that the chimneys are kept clean, and all the types of things that you're supposed to do with furnaces, have them checked annually. And just be careful with cooking so that you don't catch something on fire.
Friends say it's a difficult time, in part because it happened during the holiday season, and they want to show their support through their donations.
It's a very hard time for something like that to happen. It's, I'm just hoping with our help here with the donations and stuff, we can make it as happy as we can for them.
In Cloquet, Angela Wang, Channel 6 News. Thank you. Shop till you drop is an old saying that many Northlanders are taking to heart. Retailers say it's been frantic, but fantastic.
Traffic started at 8. Actually, there were people rattling the gate beforehand, and they were out in full force.
This morning we opened at 8 a.m. and we already had a lot of people in the mall, so it's been fantastic traffic.
Even though there are 5 less Christmas shopping days this year, the Minnesota Retailers Merchants Association predict a 6% increase in sales over last.
Videotape this shoe right here.
That's the new one, huh?
Yeah.
If you're not here in 10 minutes for the Northland's #1 rated 6 p.m. newscast, here's what you'll miss.
Railroad workers say layoffs in the Twin Ports could jeopardize public safety, leaving local split-second decisions made by workers hundreds of miles away.
We'll see you at 6 on 6.
Look at that dorsal fin, just like in the movies.
They look great.
They, 3 sand tiger sharks, 4 black-tip sharks, 2 nurse sharks, a grouper, and curator Reed Withrow was excited.
Okay, that's good. That's good. We're ready.
Ready to take delivery of the first shipment of big fish since Underwater World opened last June.
The animals look good. They've been well maintained in a traveling aquarium, and they're in good shape.
In good shape. Those sharks may not have been very big, but their teeth could still cause lots of damage, so they were moved quickly and carefully, completing the last quarter mile of their 1,000-mile ride on a forklift, then in a net to the holding pool. And look at them, the people. Of the 97 people employed in Underwater World, all of them who could came to see, and their expressions looked satisfied, kind of like they'd just opened Christmas presents.
We'll let them stay in here for a little while. They're starting to recover already.
But the best was saved for last. A 6-foot-long, 100-pound sawfish.
What we're going to do is put him in the water in the stretcher and then lift one end up and just let him roll out. Lift him up.
All the fish came from the Aquarium of the Americas in New Orleans. They have another bigger sawfish, and they figured this one might live a healthier life here.
Good work, guys, ladies.
Good work. Healthy in their new home.
Most of these children aren't like others their age. They have cerebral palsy, the most common crippling disorder of childhood. Cerebral palsy is caused by a brain abnormality. Disabilities are lifelong and can include stiffened or deformed arms and legs, hearing and vision problems, and mental retardation.
There we go. Look at that hip. Oh, nice job.
A new study in the Journal of the American Medical Association found it appears some babies can be spared from developing cerebral palsy and even mental retardation with a drug called magnesium sulfate.
We found that of children who were exposed to magnesium sulfate during pregnancy, they had about a 90% lower risk for cerebral palsy and about a 70% lower risk for mental retardation.
It's known that very low birth weight babies, those weighing less than about 3.5 pounds and usually born prematurely, are much more likely to be born with cerebral palsy or, to a lesser extent, mental retardation than normal weight newborns. Researchers at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention analyzed the effect of giving magnesium sulfate to women who had very low birth weight babies. The children were followed up to 5 years. While the results of this study are promising, much more needs to be done to prove the connection. Researchers still don't know how magnesium sulfate prevents cerebral palsy or mental retardation. It may prevent bleeding in the brain or the side effects of a reduced oxygen level to the brain of a very small baby. The CDC team also says it can't be certain it was the magnesium sulfate and not some other factor that reduced the risk. Ongoing studies should have more definitive answers within a year or two. But experts say women who are pregnant should take charge now.
CDC advises all women to seek prenatal care as soon as they suspect that they are pregnant. And if a woman is confronted with the possibility of delivering a very low birth weight baby, then she should discuss with her doctor the various treatment options that are available, including magnesium sulfate.
For NBC News, I'm Diana Penna.
Look who's sitting in the sauna. Hey, look who's steaming up the window. Hey, look who's drinking out the galia. Hey, look who's stoking up the wood stove. Hey, back from vacation, went to Jamaica. Throw away the coconut, eat the galamoyaka. Pray for the snowstorm, hey, kiluta samba, sweating in the sauna, do the reggae rumba.
Skiers and snowboarders are all cheering the expansion of Giants Ridge Ski Resort. With 10 new runs adding 50% more skiable terrain, managers believe the $400,000 investment by the IRRB is well worth the while.
This expansion is going to enable us to become truly what we feel a destination resort area. You know, like any business, we try to meet the needs of the customers and so on and provide something new.
The IRRB agrees. They're happy with the returns of their investment.
People are coming here. We had 10 busloads of people here from the Twin Cities today. They're coming and spending their dollars up in northeastern Minnesota and providing economic enhancement for the region.
Hi! And this is one of the many ski lifts that'll take you to the 10 new Glade-style ski trails. According to skiers, these Glade-style ski trails make you feel like you're skiing in the woods or on the mountains.
I like them better because they're different to do. It's not doing the same old stuff, and they're just more fun to do because it's just more like you're skiing out in the mountains instead of out here.
I like kind of double black diamonds, and they got 2002 and Alta, so those are double blacks, and I like more challenging things than just hill sinky and stuff.
Double black diamonds? But for those of us that aren't expert skiers, Giant Ridge employees say the new skiing terrain also includes areas for beginner and intermediate levels. Angela Wang, Channel 6 News. On November 15th, Diane Schultz's purse and holiday spirit were stolen.
I was devastated. It was just the thought that someone could take something that wasn't theirs and not return it.
Diane had just put her groceries and purse in the car and took her shopping cart and put it back in the corral. When she got home, she realized her purse was missing. Diane called the market and the police right away. She went back several times to look for her purse. After 10 days, she gave up. Not only was she missing 200 Christmas dollars, but her pictures, keychains, as well as her purse and wallet that were gifts.
Yeah, there was money in it too, and it was Christmas money, but I would have loved to have got it back too, but it just was all those little things that you can't replace.
But lo and behold, 25 days later, Diane received a special brown package in the mail sent from Ashland.
Shakily grabbed the scissors and quick tore into the bag, and there was my purse. And I immediately started crying because I just had given up hope. It was there. Then we both started crying. Just unbelievable. Just a real miracle to me.
Everything was safely returned in that brown bag with only an address label and stamp on the outside. But on the inside, there was a special message. The miracle in Marengo, Angela Wang, Channel 6 News.
Small because I'm not. Dark blue.
We need them to be able to suggest a particular type of restaurant where they can exchange monies, where they can find lodging, where they can find someone to help fix their car.
Well, then she had to go to a hearing.
While it's not uncommon for police officers to work in pairs, for one partner to haul the other around in the back of a trailer is.
Slow, slow, step, 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 step. You're such a knothead. You never do anything nice and slow.
A good-spirited jab between partners isn't uncommon either, but one riding the other to work most certainly is.
I think this is the most fun I have had doing this type of work.
After 16 years of police work, Officer Eric Anderson traded in his squad car for a horse. But not just any horse.
That's Timeless Prince, now in front and going away.
Timeless Prince, one of the winningest horses in the history of Canterbury Park. After he was retired, his owners donated him to the St. Paul Police Department's mounted unit. In fact, 3 of the unit's 7 horses are former racing thoroughbreds. But before making the transition from the racetrack to the streets, they must undergo rigorous training.
It's a real good occupation for a racehorse, I think. One of the things a police horse has to have is courage.
And whether it's rounding the track or helping tag an illegally parked car.
And I tell you, right to the windshield when he stops.
Police say Timeless Prince is a timeless winner.
Absolutely, I wouldn't trade him for anything.